going to be used, so we're really going to find a footprint there and stuff a lot of this new stuff in there. But there's still going to be some of that to deal with too. But I don't know if anybody had any questions as far as the specific technology. We're not saying this is, you're proving this one, we're just trying to again start boiling it down a little bit.
My biggest question is finance-wise. How is that going to be, how can we do it so with the best option for the least amount of pass on to the end water customer?
Yep. Well, and I guess that's when we'll dive into this part. So the again, here's kind of the big numbers that John's that put on here, and again, these are there's a lot of fluff built into these. I didn't want to come in here and say, here's kind of what we're doing, here's the option, and all of a sudden we do it, and it's $3 million more than we probably rather start, $1 million or 2 to 3 even high, and we'd be surprised for all of our planning purposes. So, again, these numbers escalate quickly, from the existing plant, we're down here, right, Mandy, is this the number you use for this, or is it a different number?
No, I just added the capital.
Oh, yeah, that's the running cost, I'm sorry, that's what I thought. So these two, all the way out here, so you're looking at almost, $16 million for the brand new with the pipeline, okay? So a lot of the difference between, just so you can see what that pipeline cost is, you're at about, what do we figure, about 14 or $4.5 million or so just for the pipeline itself. So that's a big number, and that's one of those that operationally you don't really recoup that. It is cheaper to treat the water coming from the lake. It's easier on the equipment. There's not as much replacement need. It's cheaper to run that way, but it doesn't really offset in a 20 or 30 year period that $4.5 million upfront capital cost. That's such a huge number. So that's more of a, I guess, a preference type issue. First of all, you want, it's a known fact that the lake is, a huge sediment basin. I mean, it settles the water. We get a very consistent, very clean initial product out of that lake. And so again, that's kind of that discussion. Is that a preference? I know something the Boyd's wrestled with for a lot of years, on whether they want to go the pipeline route or no pipeline. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So if you kind of get into what does that look like for the end user, I think let's see if I can find the right one here. Mandy put together, again, this is kind of working in all this stuff. There's a lot of spreadsheets to support it, and again, on the new options, it's based a lot on what John's kind of put together for, hey, how much of the pump's going to run, the electricity they're going to use, and the membranes and the filters and the reverse osmosis. So it's a lot of kind of theories out there as far as what this is going to cost. But this is a starting point for us. So our current plant, we know what those are. We can go back. We've got a long history of those. We can see, hey, this is what it costs. When you put everything in there between non-production, so that's debt. Now again, this debt's about to go away. A big chunk of it, but still, we're assuming that's we're going to borrow again. We're going to have to replace pipelines again at some point. So we kind of want to keep that number in there just for these purposes to keep it real here. And plus, rates are probably a little bit low. Just because we've known this is out there, but once it goes away, cost of production is still continue to go up a little bit. So we have our current water plant. Again, that's labor, chemical, electricity, employee expense, everything like that. Our water system, so that's all out on the distribution side. Again, employees and those types of things. The non-production, again, that's the debt for that pipeline we did. The water pipe main that we did a few years ago. The remote billing or the meter system,
the EMRs.
Yeah, EMRs, that type of stuff is in there. Okay, so your cost per thousand is about $7.33. Here's your first upgrade. Upgrade with the existing water source, upgrade with the lake, the new with the existing water source, and the new with the lake. And again, looking at both a 20-year and a 30-year bond. So you can kind of see, if you just upgrade the existing plant, you put it on a 30-year bond, and again, sounds like a long time on a big project like this. That's 20 years is actually pretty short on some of this stuff. You're going to want to go pretty long. You think about the existing plant was started in 48, became operational in 51, so even a 30-year note would have been paid off in 1981. Well, that's my lifetime ago. So I mean, the scope of things of how long this thing's gonna last. Obviously, you wanna think about interest costs, with interest rates where they're at, they stay this way over the next 2 or 3 years, it could be as good of a deal as it's gonna be when you have to borrow money and still keep it affordable for the end consumer. So you can see where that one, it's a low enough capital cost, it saves us enough on the operational side, that's what all these are considering, is kind of what that new operation cost is gonna be, electricity, less chemical, a different type, there's gonna be actually a little bit more electricity if I remember right, but the chemical costs are so much lower, it way offsets that. Like right now, we spend about $140,000 a year on chemical. That's gonna be way, way less than that. If we spend about $50,000 a year on electricity, now we're gonna probably spend more like $80,000 in electricity a year. But our chemical costs, I can go to the right sheet here, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Example here on option 1. So here you can see our chemical costs are now $45,000 estimated. And before it was $140,000. So we chop $100,000 of chemical out of there. And again, it's more automated, so we might save on some staff or some salary there as well. So that's where some of your cost savings are going to be. You go back to okay, so 740. So on the 30-year note, there's not a huge hit here. Obviously, this number doesn't really give us any room. If we had to put a water main or do some borrowings in addition to that, which is going to happen down the road, we're going to have to bump that rate a little bit more. But because I don't think that includes that in this non-production, you don't have that water main note in there anymore. Yeah. You go to option 2. Obviously, there's the numbers. You can kind of see them as they go on down. Interestingly enough, a new plant that using the existing water source is a little bit cheaper than the lake option. So it's kind of an interesting, you can kind of see where that's breaking over there. Here's kind of the big probably what you could say is the Cadillac solution. This is a new pipeline with a new plant. When you get into this guy right here, you're looking at $19,000 estimated of chemical. So we've really chopped that thing down there because again, we're starting with a really stable water source. It doesn't require a lot of treatment. Your electricity cost is, again, a higher chunk than probably what it was before. Again, your staff cost, because it's a very automated system. We'll probably, if we end up going with a new plant system like this, we're going to want to visit other communities that have new versions of this and see how they're operating it and see what kind of staffing they're using to operating it. But in theory, according to John, it's going to be a pretty automated plant to run. There's not a lot to it. It's all almost a SCADA system in that, but it's going to tell you all through your phone and through all the different devices what's going on with it. There's not going to be a lot of babysitting with it. So you go back here. So that's kind of where you can see it. So that's our cost to produce of $9.90. You go per 1,000 gallons. You go over here. This kind of talks about what those bond payments look like. Again, this is just an estimate. We're kind of basing it on. I think we used maybe a 3% rate roughly. It's kind of just the number we use for this. So you can kind of see again those difference in those annual payments and how that really escalates there as you go to those higher options. Okay. So again, I'll just kind of go to the last piece, and we can go back and drill down into all these and all the supporting spreadsheets. But kind of one question I was asked: well, what does this look like for the end user? Let me make sure I can find it here. Universal Bertrand. All right. I think this is actually my water bill. So this would be, just like me, family of 3 kids, a couple of us around the table, kind of fit this mold here, about 5,000 gallons of water that we get. Currently, my bill would be $47.38 on the current system. On the new one, we would be looking at $52.99 on option 1 at a 30-year, $55.68 on a 20-year option. So you kind of see how they flow down here. Option 2 is going to be these two numbers again, comparison-wise. Option 3, and then you kind of go down here to that fourth option. So basically, my water bill, just as a family type water bill, would go up about $15 a month to pay on a 30-year note for a new pipeline, new plant from brand new facility. How does that look like for, and as you can see the components here, our goal in talking with Mandy, in trying to design this and stuff, is kind of an idea that we wanted to do. Obviously, having this nice base rate is a nice base of revenue that you know you're gonna have. You know, you say, hey, we kind of are setting that minimum bill. That's not such a big deal for me, who uses, you know, a lot more than the minimum bill, or for a business and somebody uses more than that minimum bill. Obviously, that's where it affects somebody that's really frugal and trying to be careful, which we have a lot of those in town that are trying to really watch it and not use too much water. So that fixed rate kind of hurts them more than it would hurt somebody like me. Obviously, currently ours is, for all intents and purposes here, about $20. It's 1978, but it's $20. So it's nice from a planning purpose. We kind of know, hey, this is how many accounts we have, this is the base revenue we're gonna have, we know what we've got. You do want to have some, you know, flat rate in there, I believe, just for planning purposes and for your utility. So kind of what our goal was to try to keep that as flat as possible, so we kind of, you know, absorb a lot of that increase just to that flat rate, but not, you know, not take it to $30 or $35 or something like that. So in this instance, you know, we kind of, this is kind of the numbers that she used, and mathematically we kind of work and still kind of give us a rate structure. The other thing you'll notice is we kind of just did away with the PCA thing. It's a lot of confusion right now. We don't have a ton of variability in our chemical costs and those things, and quite frankly, I don't think it's designed exactly how we want it to work. So we just kind of said, hey, especially in this scenario, really our main commodity cost is electricity. It could fluctuate some, and that's just something we're just going to have to monitor. And after a quarter, we need to raise, you know, just the actual rate per thousand by, you know, 20 cents a gallon. It's easy to say, hey, it's 20, or not 20 cents a gallon, you know, 20 cents per thousand or whatever. Then it's something that's pretty easy to determine and go for, as opposed to have it every month. Spend a lot of manpower not only figuring out the PCA from their staff, or putting those into the bills and then explaining it to customers for, you know, for $5 and 20 cents per bill here. So that's kind of something that we just did. We wanted more just a flat, easy to read, easy to understand billing structure. So that's kind of where that would go. So you go here to just kind of what we tell Residential Insight Gertrude here. So kind of a fixed income senior here that's really trying to watch their water usage. This is a pretty typical, I think, bill amount, you know, 1,100 gallons. As you can see, they have very little usage over that minimum 1,000 gallon deal here. So, they have so they're only going to be about $4.40 tacked onto that base rate. So their bill right now is $26.16 out the door. If you go down here and get into that ultimate solution, again, that base rate is only 24. That's kind of where the bulk of their increase is. But again, trying to think of that whole system wide, and their bill would now go to $32.81. So they'd see an increase of a little over $6. That's kind of the forecast there. Okay.
I like percentage. What would that percentage increase be?
Say, there's probably 24%.
Yeah, you're
25% there.
you're absolutely right.
And yours was 30% there. That was, the first option was about a 30% increase, and that's supposed to going from the brass ring.
Yep.
But
Yeah, 25 to 30%.
Commercial's the one that's gonna take the big hit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the way it's designed. Again, this is not set stone. This is just kind of, we're playing with numbers, so we can put more burden in different spots and see up to whatever. And again, this is a pretty big user. You know, I don't have it identified here, but you know, lots of water usage, different meters. You know, so that's where, you know, again, on your just big refurbishment using your existing water source, you know, you're increasing about $300 a month. You know, and again, that's probably only what, a 20% increase when you look at percentages again, maybe even a little less than 20%.
the brass ring down there,
Yeah, you go down to this one, then you're probably pushing, you know, quite a bit more than that, trying to make that work. So
30%.
oh yeah.
But on these here, keep in mind and stuff, on the tabs of the option 1, 2, 3, 4, in order to pay for the bare minimum of financing this is what you have to do. I mean, this is bare minimums. I mean, that has to be kind of kept in mind. To get, just to pay for your costs, not even to make a profit. I got break even and stuff like that going on. When I went to the rate structure, clear on the other end there.
This one.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. Those there and stuff don't have your current, and then clear out the bottom and stuff on it. it'll have like our current, wages or charges and stuff like that, and our billing used in the meters that we bill for. And then at the bottom of that worksheet, it'll have what you need to pay for everything. And then on this, I'm playing with that and stuff, try to make it as fair as possible, you just don't get that base rate too high. And get your,
Yeah, so this is how much, income, we should say revenue we're getting from the existing meters and usage, et cetera. Getting down here to serve what we have for existing salary needs and running operational costs and those type of things. And then, again, looking at those two different options, what we would then have to do to get meet those same needs.
and then the other bad part about this is, just keep in mind, we probably don't charge enough for our existing rates to pay for everything. They kind of barely come out with reimbursed expenses and stuff like that on different things, and with interest income, I mean, that's just, they're